programs, Lawrence, that are in part of what's called the conservation title in the Farm Bill. We didn't have a conservation title. We didn't have programs 30 years ago that really provided opportunities for farmers and ranchers to be able to get resources to build out their farm opportunities or their investment in their farms and ranches that really created that kind of sustainability. So Lawrence Gallegos is with us. He is the what's called AGUA, Water, coordinator for the National Latino Farmers and Ranchers Trade Association here in New Mexico. He's a field organizer and part of that other job, two organizations working together, field organizer for the Western Landowners Alliance as well, working together. And he's a board member of the New Mexico Food and Ag Policy Council. And Lawrence comes from 6 generations of ranching, born and raised in Taos, and ranched for over 30 years up in the San Luis Valley area in southern Colorado. But I wouldn't say there's a border there. It's really about, this is a region, and we need to see ourselves as a region across, as a region across whatever lines there might be drawn on the map. And he has a lot of experience in water and land issues and the conservation programs in the Farm Bill, which you've used yourself, which you've helped your community members as a leader in the San Luis Valley area within government to help people access these programs, but also the challenges in doing that. So that's what I'm doing. Oh, wait, sorry.
Good morning, everybody. I'll just give you a little bit of history about myself and my family. My parents grew up in the San Luis Valley. They moved to Taos, New Mexico in the early 50s before I was born. And as I was growing up, I used to spend all my summers with my grandmother on a small parcel of 64 acres that was in my family for. I was the 6th generation to go back to work that land, and I went ahead and bought another 160 acres and leased a lot of land to start ranching up there. And anyway, I spent 15 years ranching full time, and then because of climate change and we had this really terrible drought in 2002, I had to cut my herd by more than half in order to be able to feed what I had left. I had 120 mother cows, and I ended up 55 mother cows, and so the effects of climate change have been really devastating to us here in New Mexico, and I just wanted to mention some of the programs. What I did is I actually went and I worked with NRCS for a year, but I was in a neighboring county, and I ended up not staying with NRCS because I was traveling 2 hours a day, and I had little daughters were real little at the time. That now they're in college and stuff now, or almost going to college. But anyway, this past year we through the New Mexico Food and Ag Policy Council, we put together a cohort to try and help make some changes in the Farm Bill, and I concentrating on some of the conservation programs because those programs are programs that I used, that I helped my neighbors use when I was ranching up in Colorado, but what has really happened over the years is they're really good programs, and they're helping a lot of ranchers and farmers, but especially in the indigenous community and in the Hispanic community, we haven't had as much access to these programs as other farmers and ranchers, and what we need to do is make these programs a lot more accessible, and then we had kind of like what Alan was saying, was with his ancestors didn't want to take part in them, and we found that especially in the Hispanic community where I ranched for so long, and so we're trying to make the changes and make them understand that these are there to help them and to make them more economically viable. I know for the 30 years that I ranched, it wasn't getting more it's harder, and you were making less money per animal than you had been for all those years. And I think it's probably happening in growing produce and everything else too. So anyway, we're really working hard to try and make some of those changes. And so one of the things that we really need to do here in New Mexico is get almost all of these programs, like the EQIP program through NRCS, the CSP, RCPP, all those programs require a non-federal match to access some of those programs. So all our neighboring states, or most of our neighboring states, have state funds that help pay for that non-federal match. Here in New Mexico, it's hit and miss, and there are some funds, but they don't specifically go through that, and they a lot of times what they'll some of the programs, they'll just take state money and they'll do some of the programs. I know there's some diversion projects up in Taos County that it was all state money, and in Colorado, I was president of 2 different acequias, and that we put diversion projects on them. One was $80,000 project, with a $1.2 million project, and the way we did those ones over there is we went and applied through NRCS for what we could get through the EQIP program, and we got on the $80,000 project, we got $60,000 from EQIP, and then we went to state and we got another $20,000 from them, and the acequia, we were very poor, we weren't wealthy people, so we actually put in $10,000 of our own money, and we did the project. And the $1.2 million project, I left because we had problems with engineering, so it's taking a long time. But that one we got $800,000 through EQIP. We got almost $40,000 through the Colorado Water Conservation Board, and they put in about $5,000, and the acequia got a brand new diversion project. And those are the kind of projects we need to do here in New Mexico, and leverage that money instead of just using state money, and or you know, I know there's a program up in Wyoming where they're leveraging the state money that they have. It's called the Wyoming Natural Resource and Wildlife Fund, where they're actually leveraging it 5-to-1 on average, and we need to do that here in New Mexico. But on the federal level, we're also working with some of the other programs, like the Conservation Reserve Program. They have different aspects of the Conservation Reserve Program. The main Conservation Reserve Program, what they do is they take land that's either been degraded in one way or another, like overgrazing, or just because of the drought or stuff like that. They'll take that land out of production, and they'll pay the farmer or rancher, you know, like a rental fee in order per year. And then there's also there's a really good program that has really took off here in New Mexico the last couple of years, was the Grassland CRP, which actually the Grassland CRP, the land isn't taken out of production. The farmer rancher can still go and use that land, and they can hay it, and with a few restrictions, or they can do things. But it's a program that tries to keep land from being developed or put into cropped lands, because a lot of the times what happened in the Dust Bowl is that all these lands got plowed up and everything, and so consequently, you know, the grasslands that were there had these deep roots and really healthy soils and everything, and then because they plowed them up, then then they dried up and with the drought and all the topsoil is going away. So that's the reason for some of these programs. And what we need to do here and what we've been concentrating on now that we're working towards the Farm Bill is especially to get these programs more accessible to the smaller farmers and ranchers, which is typically what they are, whether they're in the Hispanic or Native American communities. That they're not like these big corporate farms that are farming thousands and thousands of acres, and we need to get the Farm Bill to do that. Plus, we need to get farmers and ranchers and these communities that typically don't want to be part of those programs. Well, the NRCS and USDA has offered some of these equity agreements with some of the nonprofit organizations, and the National Latino Farmers and Ranchers actually has 2 equity agreements, and what they do is they get the nonprofit organizations, they train us, they provide funding to, like what we're doing with the AWA program that I'm the AWA coordinator, is we have demonstration farms and showing, especially how to use water more efficiently, and which is going to have to happen here in New Mexico. And then we have field days and bring farmers and all the neighbors and everybody in there so they can see how they're doing it. And then if some of those people have never worked with NRCS or FSA or any of those programs, we'll take them, because in order to be eligible to be part of these programs, you have to go to the Farm Service Agency and get a farm number and register your farm, and then you've got to go to NRCS and get a conservation plan and just get that started. And then, but once you get in, then it's really easy to apply for these programs over and over, and then you can get more grants, and that's what you did. Personally, after I worked for NRCS, I did that on my ranch, and I got in there. We got these big projects, but I put a lot of especially equipped programs on my property. In 2008, I was the Conservationist of the Year in the 6 counties in the San Luis Valley. So we just need to teach the people how to do that, and that's what we're doing with these equity agreements. And then the last thing I want to talk about real quick is the pandemic. At the beginning of the pandemic, when I was with Western Landowners Alliance, we made a partnership through First Nations. We're getting some ranchers and putting beef into some of the Native American communities, especially into their I forget the name, but in their food pantries and stuff like that, and we were doing that, but it just lasted for about 3 or 4 months, and then because of the way our distribution of meat, and processing of meat products, everything just backed up, and it was impossible to get in a place to get an animal processed. So consequently, right now, USDA has this program, and the Flower Hill Institute is the one that's administering it here in New Mexico. Is how to go ahead and get more regional food processing, and that's something we need, not only in meat and poultry, but I think we need to do that in some other processing of our vegetables and fruits that are processed here, and that's one thing that's really important. So I'm going to stop there. I've been talking fast. I don't know if I made a lot of sense, but
You can see Lawrence has a lot of experience in this, like everybody else here, and also deepening our understanding of some of the programs that people might not know about. So And acronyms are a big deal in this world, right? So NRCS, Natural Resource Conservation Service. CRP, Conservation Reserve Program, and there's Conservation Stewardship Program. And there are programs in the Natural Resource Conservation Service and also rural development that are key to creating the kind of access that Lawrence is talking about here in New Mexico. And Lawrence, a couple of things you brought up that are really probably across all these programs that we're advocating for are to lessen the required matches for these grants. So whether it be a nonprofit organization, a tribal community, an individual rancher or farmer, sometimes those requirements, they are not equitable when it comes to individuals, our smaller, more rural communities or tribal communities. They are not equitable at all. So as part of that request, things like tribal set-asides are, that's something that can be done, and of course have been done in past farm bills, which are being able to put aside some funding very specifically to tribal communities, to underserved communities, to BIPOC communities, and individuals and families. So there's a lot of opportunity in the Farm Bill. I'm going to pass this baton